Police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor at his temporary home in Sandringham on suspicion of misconduct in a public office, Thames Valley Police have confirmed. At least 6 unmarked cars with 8 officers in plain clothes carrying police-issue laptops were spotted driving into Wood Farm at around 8 AM today during Andrew's 66th birthday, with one later seen taking a folder away. This is now an ongoing criminal investigation, and we have to report very carefully on what is being carried out at this time. But here is what we know. Andrew, the former Duke of York, has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in a public office. Following the release of more than 3 million documents by the US government, Andrew has now been arrested on misconduct in a public office, namely supplying information to Epstein while working as a trade envoy. One of the emails that police have been made aware of is emails relating to Afghanistan, namely a briefing document in 2010 that Andrew sent, which was marked confidential brief. He sent this to Epstein, which was prepared by the UK government, and it provided provincial reconstruction of the Helmand province. The document detailed high-value commercial opportunities in the region, including about natural resources like gold, uranium, marble, oil and gas at the time when the UK was actively rebuilding the country. One of the other emails that the documents show is how Andrew shared information regarding official trips as a trade envoy to Singapore, Vietnam, Hong Kong and China as well. Official reports, he forwarded confidential information from his official trips and then passed it on to Epstein. In some cases, just minutes after receiving them from the government. The type of information that was provided by these documents is for someone like Epstein, who's heavily involved in banking and world markets, would mean that he'd either be using the information to help lobby against government policy, or he could obviously advise banks in terms of where they should be investing for the future, kind of like insider trading, I guess. The US documents also provide evidence that there's emails suggesting Andrew was prepared to use his influence to introduce Epstein to powerful figures he met on his travels, including the then Emir of Qatar and the Foreign Minister of the United Arab Emirates. What Epstein was basically doing for a majority of his life was about power and influence, and it's about information he held on people and how he could use that to leverage what he wanted. We need to be clear that Andrew is not being investigated for the allegations made by several women who are victims of Jeffrey Epstein. This is purely about misconduct in a public office and relates to documents that have recently been released by the US government. After covering this case since December 2014, it came as some surprise that they picked of all days Andrew's birthday to go and raid his house. I guess in the police's mind it could be that they knew where he would be at that given time so that they could arrest him without much fuss. But in terms of the ongoing investigation, now they'll be going through the properties that he's lived in. I'm sure they're now going through the home in Sandringham, and they'll definitely be going through the Windsor Castle, the Royal Lodge there as well, taking away any information that they deem in relation to the crime the alleged crime that he's being now investigated for. The police have obviously got information from the emails that have been released by the US government, and they'll be looking for information, evidence to support those claims, to see if there is a case to be answered. Now, that information could come from Andrew's computers, from his phones, from paper records, from all manner of things, but the police will be going through them now as we speak. So in terms of Andrew, much like any other case, obviously the police will carry out their questioning of Andrew. They'll then put a file together for the CPS, and it's the CPS ultimately who will decide whether there is a case to answer and whether he's going to be charged or not charged. If he is charged, then obviously that case will proceed through the courts. The maximum sentence for misconduct in a public office is life. But I'd imagine, time will tell, and it's up to the courts, the police and the CPS to decide what action is necessary. Police have got a minimum now of 12 hours to detain Andrew, and up to 96 hours if magistrates and superintendents are involved. Whether Andrew will cooperate or not is another question. He's famously kept quiet throughout every question he's been asked regarding his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. This is an entirely different game altogether. I'm sure he'll have a legal advice, legal counsel at his side, but whether he's going to remain silent as he has done, that remains to be seen. I think when you look at Charles's actions following the arrest, I think it's more a case of not throwing Andrew under the bus, but just being seen to make sure that the law is followed and that nobody is above the law, including his brother. I think as everybody has got questions regarding this arrest, some questions that need to be answered around Andrew's family. I mean, whether girl's going to be celebrating his 66th birthday with him today, Princess Eugenie and Beatrice. And after all, where's Sarah Ferguson in all this? Where is she now? Rumours are that she's in Dubai in the Middle East, but I'm sure wherever she is, she'll be watching these developments with a very, very keen eye. Obviously, with the questions being put to Andrew now, every person is presumed innocent at this stage. It's merely an investigation, but there is one man in particular who I'm sure will be watching it more eagerly, and that is Peter Mandelson. He's been accused of very similar allegations, if not more so than Prince Andrew, former Prince Andrew, and I'm sure he'll now be watching this now with a lot of trepidation, I would imagine. I think when you look at the evidence coming out of America and the files in terms of Peter Mandelson, if true, what is being said in those emails between him and Epstein, I think it's more damning than what we've seen against Prince Andrew so far. I think that Peter Mandelson has more questions to answer, particularly in terms of the size of the information that he was being given by the government at the time, and then feeding it for Epstein, who then acted upon it. I think what people need to remember is that following Jeffrey Epstein's suicide in August 2019, many of those people connected with Epstein felt that the coast was clearing, that the mist was evaporating in front of them, and that they were in the clear. Well, we're all seeing now that the ghost of Epstein is far more dangerous in the grave than he was when he was alive. The documents that are coming back now are haunting not just people like Prince Andrew and Peter Mandelson, but the ramifications of this go far beyond just the Epstein circle. The biggest question is, when will America act? When will they start bringing people to justice who were involved in Epstein?